In the quiet fields of Alamosa, Colorado, on September 7th, 1967, the disappearance of a young horse named Snippy began as a simple worry and ended as a mystery that would haunt the small town for decades. When her owners finally found her, the sight was unlike anything they had imagined. Snippy's body lay mutilated with unsettling precision, as if cut by the hands of a surgeon. The skin and muscle had been cleanly removed, her heart and brain taken, and the air was thick with a strange chemical odor reminiscent of formaldehyde. The autopsy deepened the mystery. Even her spinal fluid was gone. What happened in that lonely field outside Alamosa remains unexplained to this day. Since the mutilation of Snippy, reports of similar cases have multiplied across the globe. Over the decades, an estimated 50,000 incidents have been documented, most involving cattle. It was not until the mid-1970s that these strange deaths became deeply entwined with the study of unidentified aerial phenomena. Across rural America, farmers awoke to find valuable livestock that had appeared healthy the previous day lying dead without struggle. The carcasses often displayed precise incisions, portions of flesh removed as though by surgical instruments, and no traces of blood left behind. Among those who devoted their careers to understanding the mystery was television producer and investigator Linda Howe, who has followed the phenomenon for more than 3 decades. Her work compiled hundreds of Polaroid photographs and detailed reports describing animals, horses, cattle, and household livestock, found with identical patterns of clean excisions and drained fluids. Local authorities could offer no consistent explanation, labeling the cases simply as animal mutilations. Some investigators proposed natural causes, scavengers, disease, or environmental decay. Others, including several law enforcement officers at the time, believed that something entirely different was at work, an intelligence beyond human understanding. Over the years, numerous hypotheses have circulated. Some suggest that extraterrestrial visitors might be collecting biological samples for nourishment, for research into vertebrate physiology, or for the extraction of genetic material. The concept of a so-called genetic harvest emerged, raising an even larger enigma. If such harvesting were real, what purpose could it possibly serve? The question remains suspended in speculation, an unanswered riddle beneath the vast and silent sky. The search for answers to these mysteries has often turned toward humanity's distant past, toward stories and relics that suggest early civilizations may have engaged in strange experiments, blending the natural and the divine. Ancient Egyptian records describe acts attributed to the gods themselves, said to have created chimeras, hybrid beings formed by combining human and animal traits. Wall paintings from temple corridors show unsettling scenes. A human figure with its head severed, a crimson tube extending from the neck, and beside it, the head of an animal prepared for attachment. In the following panels, the same body appears again, now wearing the animal's head, as if depicting the completion of an otherworldly transformation. Evidence of such hybrid imagery extends even further back, to a civilization older than Egypt. In the ancient cities of Sumer, long regarded by archaeologists as the cradle of human society, cuneiform tablets describe powerful beings known as the Anunnaki, those who, according to the texts, came from the heavens. Their depictions often combine human and non-human features, continuing a motif of creation that blends myth with mystery. In the mid-19th century, a discovery in Egypt added another layer to this ancient puzzle. In 1851, the French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette explored the necropolis of Saqqara, home to the country's oldest pyramid and the burial site of the sacred Apis bull. Deep within a tomb, he uncovered 2 sealed sarcophagi, untouched since antiquity. When opened, they revealed not the remains of bulls, but a solid black mass of hardened bitumen, an asphalt-like substance that filled the air with a heavy, acrid odor. Embedded within it were fragments of bone belonging to at least 7 different species of animals, crushed and fused together. Inscriptions nearby spoke of monstrous creatures said to have existed during Egypt's distant past. Some scholars have speculated that priests may have ordered these beings destroyed, torn apart, and sealed within the resinous substance beneath a stone lid weighing nearly 80 tons, to ensure that none could ever rise again. Across Egypt, the mummified bodies of animals from cats to crocodiles have been preserved with reverence. Yet these sealed tombs stand apart, containing only shattered remains. Whether this act was ritual, punishment, or protection remains unknown, a testament to the fear and awe that the ancient world held for the creatures it believed once walked between gods and men. Thousand Oaks, California, May of 2017. Inside the Ventura Biocenter, researchers examine one of Earth's most remarkable survivors, the bombardier beetle. Small, unassuming, yet armed with a defense mechanism so sophisticated that it seems to border on engineering rather than biology. This insect has become a symbol of both evolutionary ingenuity and the questions that surround it. Ancient astronaut theorist Giorgio Tsoukalos arrived to observe the species firsthand, intrigued by claims that certain creatures might challenge the slow, step-by-step logic of Darwinian change. The bombardier beetle, he learned, is frequently cited in debates between evolutionary biology and the notion of intelligent design. Its unique chemistry appears almost too coordinated to have arisen by chance. The beetle's weapon is its chemistry. Hidden within its abdomen are paired reaction chambers that mix two volatile compounds: hydroquinone, a common organic substance found within the beetle's own exoskeleton, and hydrogen peroxide, a chemical with the same energetic potential used in rocket propellants. When these liquids combine in a controlled explosion, the mixture reaches the boiling point in an instant, ejecting scalding, toxic jets toward any predator that threatens it. The process happens faster than the blink of an eye, producing more than 500 bursts each second. High-speed cameras, capturing thousands of frames per second, have revealed the choreography behind this biological artillery. The beetle's abdomen pulses in rapid succession, and a rotating nozzle at the tip allows it to aim its chemical spray with astonishing accuracy. The mechanism can pivot, adjust, and fire in multiple directions, creating a defensive system of breathtaking precision. Dr. Ward and his colleagues constructed computer-generated models to map the inner workings of this miniature engine. The animations show two reservoirs feeding into a reaction chamber fitted with a one-way valve, a critical feature that prevents the explosive mixture from flowing backward and destroying the beetle itself. As pressure builds, the chamber releases the searing spray outward in rhythmic pulses. It is a system so efficient that engineers have studied it for insights into propulsion and micro-combustion design. To biologists, the bombardier beetle illustrates evolution's capacity to innovate through incremental adaptation, each stage conferring survival advantage without catastrophe. Yet skeptics have long asked how such a delicate mechanism could emerge without self-destruction along the way. Could an organism survive intermediate stages before all components functioned in harmony? For advocates of intelligent design, this complexity is seen as evidence of a purposeful blueprint. For others, it demonstrates the remarkable creativity of natural selection operating over immense timescales. Speculation sometimes ventures further. Some theorists imagine that life forms like the bombardier beetle might not be entirely terrestrial in origin, that their intricate physiology could hint at genetic material seeded from elsewhere in the cosmos. While mainstream science finds no evidence for such claims, the idea reflects a broader human fascination with the possibility of extraterrestrial influence on Earth's biology. The beetle's chemical jets are potent enough to burn human skin. Scaled up, the same reaction could become a formidable weapon, a natural analog of controlled detonation. For scientists studying biomimetics, the practice of designing technology inspired by nature, this tiny insect is a living model of efficiency, precision, and control. Across the animal kingdom, similar marvels appear. The dung beetle, guided by polarized light invisible to the human eye, navigates by the glow of the Milky Way. Squid and octopuses alter not only the color, but also the texture of their skin as they move, blending perfectly with shifting patterns of sand and coral. These talents are not mysteries of design, but masterpieces of adaptation, shaped by millions of years of trial and response. Human innovation has often followed their lead. The concept of flight drew directly from birds' wings. Camouflage in military uniforms was modeled after the shape-shifting abilities of cephalopods and chameleons. Sonar technology mimics the echolocation used by dolphins, whales, and bats to detect prey and navigate dark waters. Each advance is an act of imitation, a lesson borrowed from nature's library. Scientists call this process biomimicry, the translation of biological strategies into human engineering. From the microscopic ridges on gecko feet that inspire new adhesives to the aerodynamic contours of shark skin copied in swimsuits and aircraft, the pattern repeats. Humanity studies nature's solutions, then reconstructs them with metal and circuitry. Some visionary thinkers interpret this relationship through a cosmic lens, proposing that such knowledge transfer might itself be part of a grander design, that life on Earth could have been seeded with examples meant to guide its eventual technological awakening. Though such ideas remain speculative, they echo an ancient intuition, that intelligence, wherever it arises, learns first by observing life around it. In laboratories like the Ventura Biocenter, that observation continues. Under magnification, the bombardier beetle flexes its abdomen, releasing another invisible burst of steam and heat. A moment of primal defense captured in perfect detail by high-speed film. Within that fraction of a second lies a story 4 billion years in the making. Chemistry, biology, and evolution converging in a single spark of survival. Whether viewed as a triumph of natural evolution or as a sign of something greater, the bombardier beetle reminds us that the smallest creatures can carry the most astonishing technologies. In its tiny body burns a reaction as fierce as rocket fire, a living testament to the creativity of nature and perhaps to the possibilities that still wait hidden within the fabric of life on Earth. The Nile Delta, Egypt. Across the golden sands, a narrow trail cuts through the desert floor. A path carved by the slow, rolling cocoon of a dung beetle. Barely 2 inches long, this unusual insect, known to the ancients as the scarab, shapes a sphere of earth and waste that serves as both food and cradle for its offspring. With unerring persistence, it pushes the ball in a straight line, never deviating, guided not by landmarks, but by the stars. Biologists confirmed in 2013 that the scarab is the only insect on Earth known to navigate by the light of the Milky Way more than 5,000 years earlier, long before this behavior was scientifically understood. The ancient Egyptians had already recognized something divine within the scarab's journey. They revered it as a sacred emblem, a symbol of rebirth, and a messenger of the gods. Despite its small size, the beetle appeared throughout temple art and hieroglyphs, carved in stone again and again, as if it carried a secret worth remembering. At the temple of Karnak, beside the sacred lake where pharaohs once received their coronation, a massive stone scarab still stands watch. It represents the god Khepri, the divine force believed to push the sun across the sky each day. To the Egyptians, the rising sun was the eye of Ra, the radiant chariot of the sun god, and Khepri, depicted as a man with the head of a beetle, was its celestial pilot. Just as the insect rolled its sphere across the desert sands, so too was Khepri imagined to guide the blazing orb of day from horizon to horizon. In later centuries, scholars would interpret this mythology as an elegant fusion of observation and imagination, an attempt to explain the cosmic order through the natural world. Yet some modern theorists have wondered if the image of a beetle-headed being might have stemmed from something more tangible. Within the framework of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, the god Khepri is proposed to have been inspired by contact with non-human visitors, beings whose forms blended the insect and the humanoid. To adherents of this view, the Egyptians' meticulous carvings were not metaphors, but records of encounters, depictions of real entities that once walked among them. Mainstream archaeology offers no physical evidence to support such claims. Yet the idea persists, fueled by the Egyptians' extraordinary attention to the scarab in both life and death. In the Valley of the Kings, in November 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter uncovered the tomb of Tutankhamun. Among the treasures, resting beside the young pharaoh, was a golden breastplate centered on a single scarab carved from yellow desert glass, a mineral born 28 million years ago when a comet impact melted the sands of the Sahara. The choice of this cosmic material for the symbol of rebirth seemed deliberate, as if the Egyptians sought to capture the light of the heavens within their most sacred ornament. Throughout the mummification process, scarabs played a central role. Embalmers placed amulets shaped like beetles between layers of linen, believing they protected and revitalized the soul. The heart scarab, set over the chest of the deceased, was said to safeguard the spirit during its judgment before the gods. Other scarabs were sewn directly into the wrappings, ensuring that the divine emblem accompanied the body into eternity. According to funerary texts, the scarab was essential for resurrection, embodying the power that carried the sun through darkness and back into light. Some scholars interpret this symbolism as a spiritual metaphor, the soul reborn each morning, just as Khepri renews the sun. Others see it as an ancient expression of transformation, mirroring the natural cycle of life emerging from decay. Within these beliefs, the scarab became more than an insect. It was a vessel, a guide through the invisible corridors of the afterlife. Proponents of the ancient astronaut theory take the concept further, suggesting that these scarab amulets might have represented technological devices, instruments that enabled passage from one realm to another. In this reading, mummification itself becomes a kind of engineered metamorphosis. The wrapped body, sealed in linen and resin, resembles the cocoon of a caterpillar awaiting its transformation. The comparison is striking. In nature, the caterpillar dissolves within its silken shell before re-emerging as a winged moth, radiant and renewed. Likewise, the Egyptians envisioned the entombed body shedding its earthly form to rise again, luminous and eternal among the stars. Whether viewed through science or myth, both processes describe a transition from one state of being to another. The Egyptians sought to capture that mystery through the scarab, the creature that rolls the sun, that navigates by starlight, that transforms life from decay into motion. In its daily labor across the desert, they saw the reflection of their own cosmic journey, a reminder that even the smallest of Earth's creatures might carry within it the map of the heavens. Southern Peru, 1927. While crossing the barren foothills of the Nazca Desert, archaeologist Toribio Mejia Cespe noticed faint pathways etched across the dry earth, a vast lattice of ancient lines stretching toward the horizon. At ground level, they seemed like simple roads, yet their true magnitude remained hidden until the age of flight. Years later, as aircraft began to pass regularly over the region, pilots reported extraordinary shapes emerging from the sand. Animals, flowers, and geometric patterns sprawling across the desert floor. Together, they formed one of archaeology's greatest enigmas. The Nazca Lines, covering nearly 200 square miles. The geoglyphs reveal a panorama of artistry on an unimaginable scale. There are more than 800 straight lines, over 70 figures of animals and plants, and some 150 geometric forms. From the air, the ground becomes a gallery, a hummingbird in flight, a monkey coiled in spirals, fish and birds rendered with mathematical precision. The largest figure stretches almost 1,000 feet, the length of 3 football fields, while the longest continuous line extends nearly 9 miles through the desert plain. Mainstream archaeology attributes these creations to the Nazca culture, an ancient civilization that thrived in this region between the 1st and 8th centuries AD. The people shaped the designs by removing the thin layer of reddish pebbles rich in iron oxide that blankets the desert. Beneath lies a pale, lime-based soil that hardens when exposed to sunlight, preserving the marks against wind and erosion. In essence, the artists drew not by adding pigment, but by revealing the lighter earth below. The simplicity of the method contrasts sharply with the complexity of the result. Because rainfall is almost non-existent and the desert winds are minimal, the lines have remained nearly intact for centuries, their pale paths still visible under the same relentless sun that witnessed their creation. In this silent landscape, time itself seems suspended. Each figure endures as both message and mystery, a testament to the ingenuity of a vanished people and the enduring dialogue between human imagination and the vast expanse of the Peruvian sky. Beneath the unbroken sky of southern Peru, the Nazca lines remain etched in silence, testimonies carved not only into the desert, but into the mystery of human intent. For centuries, wind and time have passed over them, yet the figures endure, their meaning still out of reach. Whether they were celestial maps, ritual pathways, or messages meant for gods above, their purpose continues to elude certainty. What endures is the wonder they inspire, evidence that long before satellites and flight, humankind was already looking upward, tracing its questions across the face of the earth, leaving behind symbols that still speak to the vastness of our curiosity.